All right, so today we are going to be looking at one of my personal favorite offensive basketball systems, and that is the flex offense. Now, today we're going to look at just about every angle of the flex offense. We're going to look at how to run the flex offense in a continuous motion type of offense, and we're going to look at some basketball plays, some set basketball plays that follow that flex formation, right? Involve that flex screen. Okay, so multiple different options for the flex here. We're going to basically run a complete guide to the flex offense, how to run it, like I said, in a motion, how to run it in sets, just about every single, type of flex offense here that you can think of. We're going to break it down. Like I said, I think the flex offense is one of the best offensive basketball systems that you can use in basketball because it has so much flexibility, right? You can use it in so many different ways. So let's get into it. Let's break down the flex offense. Okay, so now we're going to go over some options within the flex offense. So these are options that you can use within your flex. You can use them as individual plays. We're also going to use these to show why I love the flex offense so much. Now, it's important to note that a flex cut in basketball involves cutting across the key. So that's really what we're going to be focusing on here with the flex offense is an offense that is focused on a particular cut across the key. So this is our first option right here, and this is an option that I've run with just about every age group, right? So you can do this with older age groups. If you want to give a younger age group a more complicated play, that can work as well. So we're going to have the basketball up here. Number one is going to be the point guard in this situation. So we're going to have number three as the player participating in our flex cut here. So for this particular option, our first step is that we want to get the ball into number two or number four. So one of these players at the initial one pass away wing. Okay, so they need to find a way to get open. Let's say, maybe they cut in and out of the key or something like that. Which side it goes to, it doesn't really matter too much. But let's say for the sake of this one, we get the ball over there to number four. Okay, as that is happening, number five is going to set a screen for number one. Okay, so number one is coming off of that screen. Remember, number five is going to be here setting it. Okay, so when number one comes off that screen, they're going to cut to the rim and look for the basketball. And this is just kind of an early option to see if we have it. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But it is an early option. It's not necessarily our main option. Now, number five, after they set that screen, they're going to try to get open as best as they can. You kind of just pop up to the three-point line, be about right here, and receive the basketball. So number four, if they can't get the ball into number one for that early pass, which is, again, not the main pass that we want in this play. We'll show you the main pass in a minute. But if they can't get the ball into number one, they'll reset the ball over to number five. Now, number five would ideally be a post player or, one of your bigger players if you have a passing big or a big who can pass the ball, because we want to bring number five's player outside of the key a little bit, or number five's defender rather. So now we're reset. Now, what does number one do? Now, the whole point of that number one screen right here is yes, to see if we can get the ball, but number one is actually going to set another screen. So number one is going to continue moving over here to where number three is, and number one is going to set a hard screen here for number three. So number three right now is getting screened on by number one. Now, number three is coming off of that screen, and this is where their flex cut happens. So number three is then cutting hard to the rim for their flex cut. We're going to try to get the ball into number three. So between your option there for number one, who is doing that initial cut, or number three, who is looking at this flex cut right here, you're going to have two easy options around the rim. If they're not wide open options, for example, if this right here is not a wide open option, it's going to be a switch, right? And you're probably going to get a bit of a mismatch there, which is what we want. So two easy options there. Let's kind of go over them again and reset and bring the ball up top here to number one. So number one, like I said, is our point guard. Number five is our post player. Number three is somebody you trust to get down here and post up. What I'll often do is if I'm ever playing two bigs at once, I'll put one of my bigs here, one of my bigs down here, and then that way, we can get somebody in the post that we can trust to make that layup. So let's look at it again, right? Need to get open one of our wings. Ideally, we're going to this side of the floor. As that is happening, number five is coming up to set that screen for number one. Number one is coming off that screen. All right, and we're just going to look to see if we can get number one the basketball. But if we can't, it's not the end of the world because number one is going to continue moving to set a screen here for number three. Number three then is coming off that screen. They're doing their flex cut. We're resetting the basketball as that happens, and then we're looking hard for number three under the rim. Now, another great thing about a flex is if number three even can't get the basketball, then we can go into more of a 5-out motion offense, right? They can continue then moving, right? Then they're outside of the 3-point line. Again, we had to think right now number five would have the basketball. They can easily then just bring a dribble handoff over here or a dribble handoff over here. Then we're into another pick and roll, right? That's how I like to brand things. If this doesn't work, what can number five do? Right? Let's go to the opposite side of the floor right now. We're going to bring the basketball over here, right? This is a handoff with a screen, right? Number two gets the basketball, right? And number two is cutting hard to the basket. There's so many different options now. You're in your 5-out if that doesn't work, right? So, we rave about the 5-out and we love the 5-out, obviously, as coaches. But, we can run a flex offense, and if that doesn't work, then we transition into a 5-out. But this first play is one that I've seen lots of NBA teams use, but I've also used it at the youth level as well and at the high school level, and it's been very, very successful. So another reason why I love the flex offense so much is because you can incorporate other offensive systems or other offensive plays into the flex offense. And for this particular play right now, this particular option, we're going to look at a mix of a horn set and a flex offense. So this is basically like a horn set that you can use, within your flex offense, right? So for this particular play, as we can see, we kind of have our horn set right here, but we're also going to incorporate the flex within that. So to start, we want to have an entry pass into one of our players here at the elbow within the horn set. Now the good thing about this is it can go to either number five or number four, to the left side or the right side. It doesn't really matter too much. We want to get that entry level pass in there. So let's say we get it over to number five. Then what's going to happen is number four is going to come over here and set a screen for number three, but so is number one. So number four is going over there to set that screen, but number one is also going over there to set a screen as well. So right now we have a double screen being set right here for number three. Now for number three, right, obviously, we can see right here, this is where our flex is going to happen, right? We're going to have number one right here, number four right here. They're getting the double screen going. So, we kind of have two options here for our flex. If number three is a shooter, for example, you can have number three curl to the 3-point line, and we can kick it over to number three for either a shot or, maybe they'll drive into the basket. But if they're a shooter in this particular situation, right, we could have number three curl, right, and receive that basketball. If number three isn't a shooter and you want to continue using, a flex type of system, where you kind of bring them into the post, we can have number three come off those screens into the post right here, right, and receive that basketball inside the key, kind of like we did with, the other flex option that we looked at earlier. So let's look at this one again. Our point guard is at the top of the key. Our 5 and 4 are lined up in a horns type of set, and our 2 and 3 right now are on the wing. So we're going to feed it into one of our horns players right here at the elbow. Again, we're going to say we get it into number 5. Number 4 is going to go set a screen here for number 3, and so is number 1. We're getting 2 screens here for number 3. I'm going to erase these lines quickly so we can see them. Number 3 is coming off of those screens, right? And they have 2 options, right? Number 3 can either curl to the top of the floor for an easy shot, or number 3 can participate in that flex cut to the basket, right? Easy layup right here every time. Now, again, we talked about another reason why we like the flex is that, we can incorporate other plays within it, right? But again, you look at a potential flex option here, it also preaches ball movement, right? We look at that first easy cut right here, but, say that, number 2's defender has to come in and help onto number 3. Maybe we get a double team here and we might not get that initial layup right when number 3 has the basketball, but that's fine because then we can swing it over to number 2. We can work on ball movement, right? We can then go back into our 5-out. So many different great options here with the flex offense, but this is a great option as well. If you have some players that are familiar with horns, you can kind of mix them together to make a flex horns offensive set. The next thing that we're going to look at here is how to run the flex as a motion offense. All right, so let's look at my personal favorite way to run a flex motion offense. Now, if you're not familiar with the flex motion offense, essentially what you're going to have is a screen where this person right here or this person is going to receive the basketball, around the middle of the floor, around the rim. Okay, so let's take a look at how this will work as a motion offense. How can we get continuous movement here from the flex? So it's going to start with number 3 setting a screen for number 4. Okay, so number 4 is coming off that screen, and they're going to look for the basketball about right here around the middle of the floor. That's your flex action, right? There's kind of 2 ways you can go about it. You can make this person a big who can finish around the rim, or you can make it, a smaller person who can come off of that screen quicker, maybe a small forward type of player. Right, but either way, we're going to try to get the ball inbounds here, or not inbounds, but into our number 4, right? After number 4 comes off of that screen, and then we're going to have number 4 around the rim looking for a layup, right? So that's our basic kind of first option here as a flex. But then how does this become continuous? So if number 4 can't find the basketball, number 4 is going to continue moving over here. Now, number 2 is going to come and set a down screen for that initial screener. Okay, then number 3 is coming off of the screen, and now number 1 is going to hit number 3 with a pass when they come off the screen. And now we are completely reset into that same action, that same flex action, but now on the opposite side of the floor. So as you can see, we're set up almost in the exact same way that we were set up when we started, except now the ball is over here, right? And we have 2 players on this side of the floor and 1 player on this side of the floor. So that's how we can make it continuous. Now number 4 comes and sets that screen for number 5. Number 5 comes off the screen. We can look to get them a pass, but if they don't get the pass, that's okay. They're going to continue moving. Number 1 comes down here and sets a screen for number 4. Number 4 comes off the screen, right? And now we are completely reset into our flex motion offense. We swing the basketball. Number 5 comes over to set a screen for number 2, right? Number 2 comes off that screen. Maybe we can feed it into number 2, but if we can't, we'll just continue moving. Number 3 comes down to set a screen for number 5. Number 5 comes off that down screen, right? We reset the basketball. It's a continuous movement, but it has that flex cut. All right, folks, I need to quickly stop right there before we move into our next topic to mention that right now, 97.1% of our daily viewers are not subscribed to our channel. So that means if you are one of these people, if you are one of these 97.1% who are not currently subscribed but are watching this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you could take the time real quick to hit that subscribe button. It will help us continue to make content like this, continue to make basketball plays for other coaches, basketball drills for other players, and basketball, everything that both players and coaches and organizations alike can use. So again, if you could really quickly take the time to hit that subscribe button, it'll just take 2 seconds. It would be greatly appreciated. But moving on to our next topic. Now, some people like to set up the flex offense a little bit closer to the rim. And what I mean by that is when I set my flex offense, I could like to bring this player number 5 over to number 3, right, to set the screen over here a little bit wide. Again, you can go over the screen or under the screen. It depends on your preference there. But some people like to set the screen a little bit closer to the rim. So I'll show you an example. Now, again, this isn't my personal preference. I like to keep the traffic, as much traffic as we can away from the basket. But again, this is how some people will set up a flex offense. They will wait, instead of number 5 leaving this area, they'll wait for number 5 to move around here. Again, you can go over the screen or under the screen, and that's when number 5 sets that screen, right? Let's say this time they go under the screen, right? And then we look to get the ball into number 3, but then number 2 comes down to about right here, sets that screen for number 5, right? Number 5 comes up top, and then number 2 gets a little bit wider. Right, so you're kind of adding in a step there. But again, you're still looking to get number 3 the basketball But if number 3 doesn't get it, they're going to continue moving as we mentioned. But now with this type of flex, right, we're still going to hit number 5 with a pass after that screen. But with this type of pass, we're waiting. So number 3 is standing in this spot there waiting, right? They're waiting for number 4 to make their move, right? And then number 3 sets that screen to look for the basketball. Then number 1 is setting that down screen right here for number 3, right? And that's how we're getting our movement. Now, again, this isn't my personal favorite way to run the flex offense. I like to keep things a little bit wider, as we discussed. That's why I like having, say in this example, number 4 leaving to go set that flex screen over here for number 2, right? So you can go over or under the screen, doesn't really matter. But again, I like to keep things a little bit wider, and that's why I prefer to run the flex the way I demonstrated at first. But you have some coaches who prefer to run it this way, keeping things a little bit tighter to the basket. Again, it depends on your preference as a coach. Combines the horns offense and the flex offense. Now, for anybody that follows us, checks out our plays, you would know that I'm a huge fan of the flex offense, and I'm a huge fan of this one as well because again, it combines both of these plays to make one really great play in my opinion. So the first thing we have here, obviously, we're kind of lined up the same way, right? We have our players here in the post, aka at the elbow for this one. Our post players, usually our bigger players, are going to be number 5 and number 4. Somebody you can get the ball in that you feel comfortable with. You can pass it into one of these players. But in this situation, we're going to have number 3 instead of number 3 being a shooter. We're going to have number 3 being somebody who, we feel can score around the rim. So, maybe your actual 3, maybe you're small forward. You're not going to put a smaller player in this position, in my opinion. Okay, so what we're going to have happen right now is we're going to want to get the ball. And then the same thing for number 2, actually, I should say. Number 2, should be in the similar type of position as number 3 in this situation, because you might have to go to either side of the floor on this one. So we're going to get the ball in to start to number 4. So we want number 4 and number 5, both of these players posting up, facing the basketball. But we want to get the ball into number 4, right? We want our point guard, number 1, to pass the ball into number 4. That is our first step. Now, as that is happening, number 5 is then going to come up to about the 3-point line, and they're going to set a screen for number 1. So number 1 is coming off that screen. Now, as that is happening, number 5, obviously, you're going to be right here. We're going to pass the ball back to number 5. So number 4 is going to pass the ball back to number 5. As that happens, number 4, they're just going to move out a little bit to the 3-point line. But what number 1 is doing is they're moving all the way down to number 3 right here, and they're setting that flex screen. So we can have a flex cut here from number 3 all the way to the basket, and then we can feed the ball into number 3 for an easy layup. If we don't have, the ability to get the ball into number 3, that's okay, because we can either go to a dribble handoff here to number 4 or number 2. There are some other options here as well. So our play isn't stuck. But again, typically we're going to be able to get that flex cut here into number 3 for that easy layup, right? It's basically a flex offense, but we're setting up in a horns. All right, so let's look at it again. Let's run through one more time. So we have our point guard here, number 1 with the basketball. We have number 5, number 4 are 2 post players there at the elbow, right? And we're going to start by getting the ball into number 4. So we want both of these players posting up or getting in front of their defenders. If we have to go to the opposite side, that's fine as well. But for the sake of demonstration here, we'll get the ball into number 4, right? Number 5 is going to come up and set that screen here for number 1, right? Then they're going to move up again, receive the basketball back. Number 1 is coming to set that screen here for number 3. Number 3 is coming out the screen, right? And we're going to feed the ball into number 3 for that wide open layup that will most often be there because this is a flex cut, flex screen. And, we know that those are very effective when it comes to basketball plays. All right, folks, that is all we have for today's particular topic. If you made it this far into today's lesson, it is greatly appreciated. Now, if you guys could also do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to our channel, it would also be greatly appreciated. We are the Online Basketball Academy. My name is Coach Danny, and I continuously upload different basketball plays, basketball systems, basketball tactics, and basketball drills that youth basketball players or training basketball players can use or basketball coaches can use with their players and their teams. Like I said, folks, if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to make this type of content for you all, that would be greatly appreciated. Till next time, peace out.